What is up, guys? DT Ninja here for you guys my RuroKen Hokkaido Arc Chapter 49 discussion. Okay, guys, a lot of things going on in Kenshin right now. A lot of Kenshin things. Big thanks to Chris JP20 for those awesome color scans for my intro. The new anime has dropped. There's been 4 episodes so far, so I will be doing a review and going through the some very interesting things. I'll be sharing some interview questions, so you'll get some perspective from the author, his wife, Somo Saito, and Rie Takahashi, Kenshin, and Kaoru in the new anime. But that will be coming next week, so I'll be doing that. But let's get right into it. The Hokkaido Arc Chapter 49. How did Nagakura know that Kenshin was going to be at Tamoto Photo Studio? Now, obviously, we know Nagakura lives in Hokkaido, so it's very commonplace. The Hichimanzaka slope, very commonplace in Sapporo. So, I mean, obviously, I mean Hakodate, not Sapporo, but obviously, there's something here. Like, look at Kenshin's face here. He's in shock, but just look. He's just been waiting for Kenshin there, and so he talks to him. But I just get the feeling like maybe that Nagakura knows something. And I'm not just talking about his, where Kenshin was going to go, but I'm talking about why Kenshin has come here in the first place. Not because of the Kenkaku Heki. No. I'm talking about Koshijiro, Kaoru's father. So that leads to the second question, which is it possible that Nagakura is one of Tamoto Sensei's contacts to help find Koshijiro? Is it possible a government official like Nagakura is actually a contact and has information that could lead to finding Kaoru's father? That's something interesting to think about. Is it possible? Because I did see that Kenshin was a little surprised there, but was it just because of Saito being in the hospital, or was it that he was surprised to see Nagakura there and not at his house? And obviously Kenshin was going there for a reason, so maybe it was a meetup. But I just thought those two questions kind of coincide with each other. Nagakura knowing where to meet, so maybe they did talk about it, but also the fact that Kenshin came to find Kaoru's father. Maybe Nagakura knows something. And it's very interesting in this chapter because we get a very interesting dynamic where they end up talking about Hijikata, right? Hijikata, and they both have memories of him that are very interesting. One is very, intense with the fighting, and Nagakura's for respect, and then obviously Yamagata comes in. So it's very interesting because Kaoru's father actually was a member of the swordsman squad that worked for Yamagata. So we got this very interesting dynamic where you have Yamagata, you have Sano, you have Nagakura and Kenshin all in the same room. But here's the thing. Nagakura and Yamagata could have answers to where Kaoru's father is, or why Kaoru's father left Tokyo in the first place. I mean, think about it. Nagakura left Tokyo as well. So, I mean, it's very interesting. It's like, whoa, okay, in the same room, those are two very important people that could lead us to answers to Kaoru's father's whereabouts or what happened to him in the past. So, like, that's very interesting. I just thought that was really cool that they showed them in the same room, but also the potential there, because he talks about the swordsman squad. And in episode 1 of the new anime, we see the design of Koshijiro, and we see that he was a member of the swordsman squad. So we kind of get a little like background information on Koshijiro, and it's talked about in the Hokkaido arc, chapter 49, in volume 8. So it's like the current volume and the current anime are coinciding with each other. So I found that very interesting. But like, they are probably the best people to ask about Kaoru's father. So yeah, I wonder. That makes me wonder. Okay, number 2. Do you agree with Nagakura that Saito has not changed at all? Okay, so for me, yes and no. Because, yes, Saito has not changed at all. He lives by the sword and dies by the sword. Aksoku-san, he lives his life like Toshi-san Hijikata, which is a very concerning thing, and you see that on the face of Nagakura and Kenshin. They want to be there for Saito, and they realize that this could end up badly for him if he continues to live like this. But I do agree with Kenshin as well. Kenshin says that he's not the same as he used to be. Something has changed. So yes, there are parts of him that has changed, but ever since Saito came to Hokkaido and fought against Itakura, Byakuya Itakura, he got his elbow snapped and broke, his arm broke from the bone. We saw it, and his sword was basically shattered. I feel like part of his pride, his confidence has been broken, and we've seen that because, like, in the fight with Hyobe the Skull, really, it wasn't Saito that was the reason they won, right? It was because of Abe. Abe came out of nowhere, showing the Shinsengumi that he is worth, he is strong. The Goryo Eiji are all what they say they are. They're very strong, and it really opened his eyes. But Nagakura's strength also opened his eyes, so he had the chance to finish one of the enemies off. But like, at the same time, alone, we have not seen Saito been able to take down an enemy. So can we say his confidence is as high as ever? No, I don't think so. I think Itakura broke him. And I think that's what Kenshin is actually saying here. And it's not just his way of the sword. Nagakura is thinking of it like his life, not him actually losing a battle, because you can tell there's something a little different about Saito. Okay, so yes and no. There are some aspects of Saito that have never changed, and there's some, I'd say, his pride and his confidence have been shattered ever since Byakuya fought him. And basically, Byakuya gave up, right? I mean, he just like, okay, I surrender, but even though I'm gonna win this fight, it's like, what? Yeah, so I feel like his pride has been hurt, as well as his almost like his swordsman spirit was broken, right? Just like as a swordsman. Yeah, that's just my feeling on it. But I did find it interesting that Kenshin didn't really realize that Saito never wanted to fight him because he's a wanderer now. So it's interesting, but Kenshin doesn't really think about it that much because he doesn't think like the Batosai anymore. He can get the powers, the strength of Batosai when he gets serious, but as far as thinking goes, Saito doesn't want to face him, so that's why. And it was interesting to see that Kenshin realizes that. Okay, and number 3, do you think that Saito would change his way of living of the sword if Toshi-san were still alive? Toshi-san is Hijikata, someone he greatly looks up to. And I do believe that maybe Hajime Saito would possibly change if Toshi-san were alive, because it would be a little different, right? Nagakura said if Toshi-san were alive, we could drink together, we could, laugh together. It could be a very interesting thing, and it was kind of sad in that moment when he said that, because he's thinking about his friend who died, right? Who had sacrificed himself. But anyways, I do believe that maybe losing Hijikata has left a lasting impact on Saito, and perhaps if he were alive, maybe there would be a change in him. I don't know, but that's just my feeling. What do you guys think? What do you think of Yamagata having multiple body doubles? So we saw this in chapter 43, I believe, or no, chapter 40 or 41, where the Hyobei the Skull finds the body double, and they said it's Yamagata, but it's a double, right? It's not him. So he already knows that his swordsman squad that he sent there, the Northern Expedition, are not all what they say they are. Yamagata's not here, so he doesn't take him seriously at all. For me, I think it's an intelligent decision, because it does show that you don't want to repeat the past with Okubo being assassinated by Sojiro. Although I did like Sojiro asking Cho and Kamatari, like, do you think I should tell him I'm sorry? Like, I thought that was great. But I also think it's a sign of great disrespect. And we see that in this chapter. Now, what I mean by that, as a leader, as a member of the imperialists who have this kind of larger than life kind of feeling when you talk about the imperialists, especially Batosai. But when you hear the name Yamagata, you think of someone who is prestigious and someone who is has great strength, intelligence. But here he shows a double, and I feel like Itakura felt greatly disrespected in this chapter. Like, I'll show you what I'm talking about. He surrounds him with thousands of soldiers. I think it's about 1,000 soldiers, something like that. And this is very interesting because he realizes it almost immediately that this guy is not Yamagata. He doesn't have the same aura. He's a joke. So he doesn't take him seriously. In fact, he's insulted by him. So I feel like possibly that this has actually done the opposite of what he's trying to do. He's trying to protect himself, but also it's not going to be good because the enemy knows exactly who you are. So the double is for protection, but at the same time, it could be bad for you because now they've got more fuel to the fire. So I feel like maybe it's actually having the opposite effect. But anyways, that's my feeling on it. I feel like the body doubles are necessary, but 3, 4, 5, I think that's too much. I think 3 is the limit. I feel 1 in Tokyo, 1 here in Hokkaido, and that's it. But he said he had like more than that. But showing him to the enemy, showing the body double to the enemy is a huge mistake because now he knows that he's a coward, and that's what I'm talking about. He's gonna feed off that fear, and I think that's what Itakura feeds off, fear, honestly. So I feel like, yeah, it was a really dumb decision to do that many doubles. It was a dumb decision to provoke Itakura in the first place. Okay, number 5. Why does Yamagata provoke Kenkaku Heki with military strategies rather than talking to Kenshin? You know, Himura Batosai, the one who saved your life, the one who is actually talented and skilled as a swordsman. Hell, you have Nagakura in the room, one of the greatest Shinsengumi members. And here you're going on your own using just these pawns, they're not even military. He said it, that these are inmates. He dressed them as military officers. That's even worse. So he's basically saying it's okay if they die because they're not really human. They are said to be killed anyway. They're going to get killed anyway in prison. So that's just really crazy type of thinking to me. Yamagata using the prisoners from Hokkaido and presenting them as soldiers. Now, some of them may be soldiers, but according to what Yamagata tells one of the officers, one of the head officers, he says, don't worry about it. Those are inmate prisoners and they're all in place, so don't worry. But like, that clearly shows a lack of understanding of who the Kinkaku Heki are. And I think Kenshin is right. He underestimated Itakura, because we're going to see in the next chapter, he just erupts in power and just overwhelms everyone. But before that happens, he gets fired on like a mad, mad. There's thousands, I'm pretty sure it's like 1,000 shots, something like that, just everywhere. Hundreds and hundreds of shots are being fired. You see him up in the air and his face is like crazy looking. His eyes are rolled back in his head. He's just taking all the shots, just like even unfazed. It's crazy. Itakura is he's superhuman, honestly. It's crazy how they showed that. But yeah, I think that it was a huge mistake. They should have gone over together, and he just thinks numbers is going to do it. But we saw at the very beginning of the entire series where Itakura climbs up a mountain by himself, by the way, with swords, and uses the swords to kill all the officers and uses them to as grave markers. I mean, and his own team basically killed all the other officers. So we know they're a huge problem. That was just dumb idea. Seen him, spear someone with handcuffs on. We've seen him take a Kuzuryu-sen and literally brush it off like it's nothing. We've seen him take 4 of them and pass out. We've seen him bleed out and get stronger. We've seen him in so many situations where it's like, whoa, this guy is definitely out there. He's definitely bizarre. But he's definitely a really high power level. I mean, like, this guy is huge. He has a huge body mass, and he's tall. He's similar to Master Hiko. I don't want to say he's on his level, but his body is able to withstand attacks and bullets, like hundreds of bullets at once. So he's definitely superhuman. Yeah, so that's just my feeling. But anyways, that's my take on it. I hope you guys enjoyed my discussion. Look forward to my next video, the anime, the new anime I'm going to talk about. And then I will do another video for chapter 50, where we get into the actual battle and Byakuya shows his full power. So anyways, that's pretty much it, guys, and we'll see you guys in the next one.